Before we do, I can't escape taking us back to the elephant in the room that I think probably resonated with so many people, which is you had to give presentations, or you had this love and just kind of interest in presenting, in communicating, yet you had also this fear,
Yeah.
right? Terrified, petrified of, and all other kinds of words we could probably use to describe what was going on inside of you. Can you walk us through how you dealt with that? And I know that could be a much longer session, but if you could boil it down, because probably today more than ever, and certainly for the last many years, I think this resonates with so many people because many of us resonate or understand that we need to communicate, whether it's on a podcast or on a YouTube video or doing a webinar. And so there's people out there, many people that have this expertise. They're very good at what they do. They have a lot of knowledge, but they're a little bit scared, if not very scared, to get in front of other people and do that publicly for the fear of saying something wrong or something not working out. Can you walk us through in a little bit more detail how you specifically overcame that? Because not only did you overcome that to do more of that yourself, you got to a point where you mastered it so that you could actually teach others how to do it themselves too. And I know you work with many different business leaders and managers and all that kind of stuff. So kind of walk us through your specific kind of case, if you could.
The first thing to realize is that being afraid or nervous to present is not a personal failing. It is a built-in, like amygdala, lizard brain, to use Seth Godin's term, response to being in front and singled out in front of a group of other people. That is an inherently anxiety-provoking thing for the vast majority of humans out there. Very, very primitive response. And it happens to people at every level, every single level. I've worked with CEOs who shake in their boots when they have to do this. So my own process for getting through it was, first up, realizing that people weren't actually testing me. It wasn't a test. And while they were judging me in a certain way, we can't get away from being judged. I had to recognize that they needed something from me, and they knew that they needed that thing from me. So that's what they were really focused on. It was that. And having that in my head was a really important thing. I would focus on, this is the thing that I have that they can't get from anyone else, that they need from me, and I want to give it to them. So kind of replacing the urge to withdraw with an equally intense drive to reach out and help. Yeah. Many people who speak get into it because they love helping other people, and that's how they get over the fear. The other thing that I did that was incredibly useful, especially when I realized, no, I want to do this really well, like as best as anyone possibly can. So I got used to being watched. And that, whether or not you're speaking in front of a live audience or to a camera, is one of those things that makes us freeze up, because that again is the amygdala. They're watching me, they're watching me. So I started small. If I was at a library conference, and this was very early into my library career when it's like, this could be a thing, I would always ask questions in every single session I sat in, but I wouldn't ask the question from my chair. I would stand up, say my name and where I was from, like name, rank, and serial number, pause, and then ask the question and stay standing while the person answered it. Because the second you stand up in a room, every eyeball is going to swivel to you. And that's a moment where you then have to be quiet and be still and allow yourself to be watched. So it's a really low stakes way of putting yourself out there and getting used to be the one who's under scrutiny. And then after that, it was, okay, I am going to do this at meetings. I am going to ask to give presentations at meetings. I will volunteer myself to give a report, and I won't do it from my chair. I will move to the front of the room so that my brain learns to get over that, the long walk, as I like to call it, from your seat to the front of the room. So it's a lot of exposure that way. And then I became hyper-focused, like I said, on what it was I was there to do. What is my core message? Who are the people that I'm speaking to, and what do they need? And the more I focused on that, the more I could pull myself out of my own fearful headspace. and get used to it. And then you can drip in things like breathing techniques to slow down your heart rate, and all of that kind of snowballs together into learning how to deal with that fear. But you have to get up and do it over and over and over again.